welcome to Herself360.com. We're so glad that you're joining us, especially today for our Woman of Interest program. And today we're featuring empowerHER. This is an organization that you're really going to want to hear about and know more about and become a part of it. I have with us the founder, Cara. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Oh, this is going to be great. First of all, let's start with this. Tell people why you started this group.
Sure. I started empowerHER really because it was something I wished I had when I was young. I was 9 when my mother died of breast cancer after a 2-year battle, and I was really just desperate to meet another girl like me. And so I formed empowerHER 4 years ago now for girls who have experienced the early loss of their mother, and really just bring girls together so that they're reminded they're not alone in their grief.
No, it's absolutely great, and it's interesting that you said that so you could meet other girls that are like you. Because I don't know about you, but I always have a feeling like if somebody lost their mother, I don't want to say I know how you feel because I don't think I know how you feel.
Sure. I can understand that.
Yeah,
I appreciate and understand that sentiment when people can be honest and say, a lot of people know hard things, a lot of people know adversity, but this loss in particular, it's a really extraordinary loss. And at least in my 40 years on this earth, I can count on one hand the number of times I've felt understood, and it's when I'm with other women who know my loss. And I mean specific to this adversity that I've felt. I think it's very isolating when you've gone through any kind of adversity, when you don't know someone who can relate.
Absolutely. Now, you having started this, I can only imagine that you started to speak to people about it and they go, oh my God, I know somebody that you should talk to.
Yes.
And it's going to be somebody who's lost their mom, and then, oh my God, I know somebody you should talk to. How do people know who empowerHER is? How do you find these women, girls, or whatever?
Through encounters with you.
Thank you very much.
It's been a word of mouth initiative, but we've had such fast growth because, number one, when an adult woman hears about empowerHER, they say, oh my God, I would have thrived on that. My sister and I would have loved that when we were young after our mother died. But for anyone who does know a young girl who did lose her mom, chances are they don't know what to do, they don't know what to say, they don't know how to offer support to the father or guardian, or they don't know how to offer support to the girl. So the great thing about empowerHER is, and always has been over these last 4 years, is that the referral process is simple. We just wanted to meet the family where they were. So whatever it is that we can do to support the family is what we try to do. And of course, empowerHER has two programs that are at no charge to the family. Group events like a beach party and writing classes and cooking classes and a sleepover on Mother's Day, and also a one-on-one mentor program. A lot like any youth mentor program that you might be familiar with, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. But in this case, we're matching the young girl whose mom died with a positive female role model from the community.
Okay. Good. Welcome to ours, and we hope that from this you'll get more.
Thank you.
So the other thing is, too, if you're helping the girls with, dealing with the loss of the mother, what about her dad or her brother? Because I got to think that guys, what can you say to them, and do they even know what to say?
Yeah, it's a major focus for empowerHER. It's, of course, when you speak to the founder of any nonprofit organization, which I know I'm not the first you've ever spoken with, there are so many things you want to do because you see it, and I can touch it, I can feel it. I want to serve the boy who lost his mother. I want to serve the father who lost his wife and who watches his children grieve. So we've been able to do that. We try to bring the fathers together as much as we possibly can, and guardians, grandmas, aunts, neighbors. It really does take a village after a traumatic loss. When a child experiences any trauma, I think that child has really benefited from this village, lots of people who love and care about them. One great quick example I can give for the fathers, we offer a Bruins night, a game. And we have this incredible, private skybox, and it's donated to us, and we share that with these fathers. And just recently, a few weeks ago, 12 fathers got together for a game. And so the game is sort of on in the background, but the fathers, as they shared with me afterwards, they would say, that was life-changing, because I guess in some ways it's sort of the anti-support group, anti-widowers group, because remember, these are very young men.
Yeah.
And they would say things like, that was the first time I've ever been in the room full of more than one person who could relate. And so now I'm in the room with 10 men who not only all lost their wife, but have a grieving daughter. And again, I think that sentiment is echoed, by the father or the grandmother when I introduce the grandmother to another grandmother. When I introduce the 11-year-old to a 14-year-old, it's just looking at one another and saying, I get you, I get it. And our situations are still even quite different, but I mean, as you walk through this earth, you're going to meet other folks who have had real adversity. And I think one of the main differences is, we know this about children, when their feelings are validated. Grief is all over the place sometimes. And so when you get to encounter some people who just kind of see you and get you and know you, I think sometimes that can make all the difference. Yeah. So that's all that empowerHER is really trying to do. We're not counseling, we're community. And so if I had my way, we would be expanding our programs to dad and the brother and everyone. Right now it's laser focused, I guess, on the girl.
On the girl,
yes.
Sure.
Yes.
There's a lot. If you expand, you can't do everything as well as if you focus on one thing.
Correct.
But the others are there.
Yes.
But good for you. I mean,
thanks.
putting those guys together, I'm so thankful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know it, House, and you just said this too, with all that you do, you are totally funded by donations.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. How do you do it? I mean...
Not easy.
Easy, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tell us, because we want people to help and support you, because I'm sure they're going to relate. And so, tell us what we can do.
Thank you. Well, empowerHER has been funded solely by the individual donations. That has been, men and women who have who this really struck a chord with, and so we've raised maybe $300,000 now over the last 4 years, and we've got big plans for expansion. So we will require quite a bit more funding. Corporate donations have been a huge source of support as well. Special events like the cocktail party, the gala that any nonprofit has got to produce, and it's good for the community. So what we really encourage people to do is just go to our website and take a look around. If you spend a minute, you'll see and hear from other young girls who have lost their mother and who have shared their experience with empowerHER. You can hear from a father, from a young girl, from other volunteers and supporters of empowerHER, and they'll share their experience. But individual donations and volunteer support has been what has carried empowerHER, what made us grow. And what really gave us life. So these last 4 years, it was a big friends and family movement.
Nice.
And then you have to sort of slowly move past that for sustainability. And so the individual donations have been invaluable.
That's great. Yeah. And then the volunteerism is key. Yes. Key. That really helps to take away some of the expenditure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I always say we're very good stewards of donor dollars.
Ta-da.
And so I always envisioned a nonprofit that was volunteer driven. Of course, we need to build capacity, and you need staff, and you need funding to keep your lights on. But we have over 250 volunteers just here in Massachusetts. And those are not necessarily women like me who lost their mother in childhood. They're men and women who, out of the gratitude they have, for being here for their daughter or for having their mother for as long as they've had her, are now donating their time and talent. And that's really what empowerHER is existing on.
Exactly.
Is people's talent and time and their compassion.
Okay. Yeah, no, this is great. You know what I forgot to mention? She's been featured on PBS. Right? Yeah, that's awesome. Was it Tina Martin that?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that, and hopefully that put you out there, and you've got a few more people. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, and over the last 4 years, we've been very fortunate to be sort of highlighted in the news, and I think part of it is, we're the only one in the country dedicated to serving the girl who lost her mother, and it's really sort of hitting a nerve. I see. We've been fortunate to receive some great Boston media, including Tina Martin's special just about a month ago. She highlighted our mentor program because most people know us for our events, and they know we've got this Mother's Day retreat and all of these fun, sort of easy breezy events that the girls can come to once a month. Well, Tina and WGBH, they highlighted for us our mentor program. And it was a great segment, and it was a really moving segment. We heard from a mentee and from a mentor. And Tina said, good news, Judy Woodruff, PBS NewsHour, is going to show it tonight. And so with 1 day's notice, we had our first national.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
That is great. Judy Woodruff, that is great.
Yes. Yeah.
So now listen, before you go in, I'm not going to say what I think it is, but a takeaway. You're speaking to women 18 to 118. What do you want them to get from this? What can they do for you? You speak to them right now.
They can show their support in any way. Any time that we hear from a supporter, and it's really anywhere, it's outside of Massachusetts, I've heard some of the most heartwarming and compassionate letters, phone calls. I've heard from people who have expressed their gratitude for what we're doing. Those messages are probably the biggest confidence boost for me, because to start a nonprofit is one thing. To live it, every day, and when it's my personal story, it's hard. And so when people reach out and they share their gratitude or they share a sentiment, they tell me how it warmed their heart because they themselves have experienced this loss. It goes a long way with the nonprofit founder. It gives me motivation really to keep going. It gives us all at empowerHER motivation to keep going. So we encourage people to reach out, and I also really encourage people to try and I guess one mission I have at empowerHER is to help facilitate healthy conversations around grief. No one knows the right thing to say or do, but I always felt that if it's out of love, then you couldn't say the wrong thing, you couldn't do the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. If you know of a young girl of loss, that it's okay to ask, it's okay to offer support, and we really hope that you would try and connect her with empowerHER. And so I guess my biggest takeaway is, healthy conversations. Yeah. I will say, after my mother died, we had a very difficult time talking about her. And so it was years that my brother and I really didn't have an outlet. Mm-hmm. And that was not because of any wrongdoings by the community or our extended family or my father. That was simply the way it happened. Mm-hmm. And we know now that that's not really promoting healthy grief, and so I really want to do my best to try and promote healthy conversations around grief and loss.
So this is why we're here. Herself360.com. We are here to embrace, engage, and support, and so you all need to step up and help her out. Thank you for being a part of our community. Thank you all for attending Herself360.com.
Thank you. Thank you.